They're getting drunk. They're getting drunk. They're a bunch of idiots getting drunk. Talking about conspiracy theories. There's really not much more to it than that. You're listening to Drunk Theory.
Fuck it, y'all ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Drunk Theory. I'm Kara.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Ryan.
Matthew.
And today,
It's my
it's
birthday,
Matt's
bitch.
birthday, bitch.
Happy birthday, baby.
Matthew is 32. I don't know if he is. I need it to rhyme. So I'm just.
33.
I'm
not.
It needed to rhyme. I need it to rhyme. Matthew is 32. But it doesn't work, so.
No.
I'm 33.
Matt
by the way.
3.
Matthias,
Matt 3 is 30.
33.
Oh, there you go. Matthew is 33.
So happy birthday to Matt in honor of Matt and this wonderful.
I got a
holiday
couple
season.
things to say to everybody. Thanks for coming over, having fun on my birthday, and still the youngest one in the room, bitches.
Oh, by a long shot.
We're talking about December because Matt's born in December,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I guess it's December right now.
It is December right now.
Kelly, what are we drinking?
We are drinking.
Cough syrup.
No, it is wonderful. It is the red.
Marshmallow stuff in it.
It is the red snowdrift cocktail. So for this drink, you're going to take a rocks glass and you are going to smear the inside with marshmallow cream, and you're going to freeze that for like 10 or 15 minutes. Then you're going to take a shaker with ice. You're going to put an ounce of Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire, an ounce of Deep Eddy Cranberry Vodka, an ounce of Apple Pucker is what the recipe calls for, but we're using something called Kinky Green.
Kinky Green!
Because there is no Apple Pucker here. You're going to use an ounce of simple syrup and an ounce of cranberry juice. You're going to shake all of that shit together, and you're going to pour it in your rocks glass that's been frosted with your marshmallow cream, and then you are going to garnish that with a peppermint stick.
But you know
Flavor
how
was
many?
good.
There's about 4 shots of alcohol in each one of these. So me and Kelly's about to be 12 shots deep.
That's right. So me and Kara have to go
Calm
Y'all have
first.
to go first, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else
I've
we'll
got a
be
lot of
telling dick
words on mine,
jokes.
so.
I got a lot. Yeah, it's
I got-
just gonna be nothing but Santa Claus.
I got
dick jokes.
one page of a mini legal pad.
Well, I guess Matt should get to decide if he wants to go first. or
That's
not.
right.
I don't.
Yep. Kelly can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, because y'all be sloppy by the time anybody.
Yeah.
So, my topic is Elizabeth Bathory. And for this, I actually bought a book, and I will tell you what that book is.
Nerds.
Yeah, no. So the book I bought is Infamous Lady, The True Story of Countess Esrb Bathory, 2nd edition by Kimberly L. Croft. So Esrb is actually the way you would say it in Hungary. So that's the way you should actually be saying it, not Elizabeth. December 29th, 1610 in Hungary. A group of armed men led by the Palatine, which would be like the prime minister, they searched the manor house of Countess Bathory, which is located in the town outside Castle Chete. They immediately discover the corpse of a young girl who has been beaten to death. 2 more girls were found which had been stabbed and beaten. One would die later from her injuries. 4 servants, 3 women and 1 man, were discovered in the midst of torturing one girl while another girl was forced to watch. The 4 servants and Countess Bathory were arrested at that time. So that's my December connection. Hold on. So now I have to go back and tell y'all about some historical shit. So in 1514, Hungarian peasants revolted against the nobility. The rebels went on a killing spree where they impaled nobles and priests. The rebels were eventually captured and executed by, among others, Countess Bathory's great-uncle, Istvan Bathory. In 1517, the Opus Tripartitum Juris Consuetudinari.
It sounds like you're summoning something.
Hungary. Yeah, because that's Latin.
That
I
was-
said Latin. Oh, I said
Yeah,
Latin.
wait a minute. You don't
That
read
wasn't
the
bad
Latin.
Latin. That was decent Latin.
Yeah.
Read.
So that was printed in 1517, and that's the only time I'm going to say it. So, as punishment for the revolt, the peasantry would be forever enslaved by the nobles. All of their descendants would be enslaved as well, so they would never forget the terrible crimes that had been committed against the lords. And this practice would remain in effect till 1848.
So she's
not even born yet.
But it's her family is the upper people, right?
Yeah, but that's not what's important about this.
Oh,
What's
okay.
important about this is the enslavement of the peasantry. So, Esrb, she was extremely well educated and really fucking smart. She could read and write multiple languages, and that's not just unusual for a girl, that's unusual for the nobility, because the nobles at that time didn't read or write. They thought that was the job of their administrative staff. So she was kind of odd, but it was in kind of a neat way. She could read and write like 6 different languages. So in 1575, 14-year-old Esrb married 19-year-old Ferenc Nadasti, and she chose to retain the Bathory last name, stating that it was older and more prestigious than Nadasti. So at 14, she was like, my people are more powerful than your people, and decided to keep that name. During the marriage, Hungary's at war with the Turks, like during the entirety of their marriage. And Ferenc is a military guy, he's a war hero guy, he's away a lot. So, Esrb is handling all of their property and doing like all of their business and all that, and she's really smart, so she can do that. So collectively, they would own thousands of acres of land, dozens of towns, and more than 20 castles across Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, Romania, and the Czech Republic. They owned all kinds of shit.
They're like Ted Turner or Elon Musk. They own like they're like a state's worth of fucking land. Yeah.
So
you gonna
at one point, they had more property than the King of Hungary, and they even loaned him money at one point in time, and that's also going to become important. So she, during the marriage, had 5 children, but only 3 would be alive at the time of her arrest, which is in 1610 that I just talked about.
How old was she?
When she got arrested, she
Yeah.
was 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she had 2 daughters, Anna and Kata, and a son, Paul, and her husband died in 1604 due to an illness. So now we're going to get into the deaths and the rumors. So in 1601, deaths of young female staff members began to occur at Sarvar Castle. The Countess claimed that the deaths were due to cholera, and nobody thought anything about it. They're like, people die of cholera. But by 1602, there started to be some rumors. And the rumors began to circulate that the girls were being tortured to death by the Countess and a Croatian woman named Anna Darvolaya, who served the family. Now, due to the Act of 1517, where the peasantry was enslaved that I talked to you about, no legal action could be taken at that point in time, even if that shit was true. They owned them, they could punish them, they could torture them, they could kill them if they wanted to, and nothing could be done. So, the deaths continued over the years at various properties. She moved around between her castles and took her staff and all that. And the deaths and the rumors of torture escalated greatly after Ferenc died in 1604. A lot of people say that he allowed the torture but didn't really want the help to be killed, because that's just a fucking hassle.
I mean, yeah, then you just gotta hire a new house.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
come on, man.
it apparently got a lot worse after he died. So then we're going to move on to the School of Etiquette. So in 1609, the Countess opened a School of Etiquette for noble young women. Shortly after, family members began to worry that they had not seen or heard from their daughters.
It's like a cult.
Within a few weeks, all the girls at the school were dead. The Countess claimed that one of the students had murdered all of the other girls in order to steal their jewelry. And then when the staff discovered what the girl had done, she committed suicide. So the families of the girls, they went to the courts and they're like, hey, she killed our girls. And these are noble girls. So at that point in time, the king had the right to pursue criminal charges, and he did. Esrb knew she had fucked up at this point in time, and she knew that the law was coming. So, she moved all of her assets to her 3 living children. Now we're back to the arrest and the imprisonment. So, the Countess was imprisoned at Castle Chete, which she owned. The 4 accomplices, the 3 men and 1 woman servant, they were all held in the prison at Bitka Castle, where they were tortured until they confessed. So initially, they put the blame on Anna Darvolaya, She had suffered a fatal stroke in 1609, so by this time she was dead. So they're like, she did it. Eventually, they confessed to committing horrible acts of torture, which were ordered and sometimes participated in by the Countess. The trial of the accomplices. The 4 accomplices testified to committing the following acts of torture. Pins stuck into lips and under fingernails.
Oh, god damn.
Needles jammed into shoulders and arms.
Oh,
See, that doesn't bother me. The fingernails.
What?
Fingernails
You know how many
fucking bother
nerves
me.
are there? Holy
Oh,
shit,
gosh,
that's a
no.
nerve cluster all over your whole body. Fuck that shit.
Flogging of the breasts. Hands, arms, and abdomen scorched with burning irons. Chunks of skin ripped from the back with pliers. Noses, lips, tongues, and fingers pierced with needles. Mouths forced shut with clamps. Flesh cut out of the buttocks and from between the shoulders, then cooked and served to them.
Made them eat their own shoulder shit.
Yeah, and their own butt.
Damn.
They allowed them. That's fucked up.
Flesh singed with candles. Fingers cut off with scissors. Red-hot pokers inserted into vaginas. Girls made to stand naked in the cold or submerged in icy rivers. So the 4 accomplices estimated the number of murdered girls between 30 and 50. And because not everybody was present at every murder, nobody really knows how many. So, in kind of a law and order moment, a servant girl named Susanna testified that she had seen a list of murdered girls with 650 names on it. But there is no evidence that this document was ever produced in court or that they gave it any weight. A staff member of the school did testify that 7 girls had been murdered and buried in the garden, and these would have been the noble girls. So now we're at the sentencing. So
And it says of the
accomplices
friends or whatever, yeah.
The accomplices. So 2 of the women, Yona and Dorothea, were sentenced to have their fingers torn out before being executed and burned. Janos, the male servant, was beheaded and burned. There was one woman named Catalin, who the other 3 said that she had shown compassion and had actually been beaten for bringing food to the women and that she never actually killed anybody. What they said about her was that she was going to be imprisoned for an indefinite period. And in the book it says that nobody really knows what happened to her. Did she ever get out or did she die in prison?
So the ones that were like beheaded, they just did that shit right then. They're like, yep, beheading time. They take you out, and then
It was
that's
like
it.
the next day.
2 days
yeah.
later, usually, yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
get
it
no
was-
bullshit
no, it
where
was-
come back later and.
No, it was like the next
There's
day.
no appeal on this.
There's a dude waiting to cut your head
Well,
off.
not
'cause
even
he's-
appeals,
No,
just
there's a
like
guy getting
maybe.
paid per head. He's ready to do
But
it.
do they not need to check the schedule or whatever? Maybe that guy's sick that day, so they gotta be like, well, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
All
Do you know
right.
how, do you know how that guy made extra money?
Well, I
They would
think-
tip him to make sure his blade was sharp, so they didn't have to get hit 2 or 3 times. They want it done once. No one wants to get hit in the neck 4 times with an axe.
A lot of times, executioners were like traveling too.
Traveling execution.
So-
Traveling judges is a thing now.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I'm gonna be here on this day. Get all your shit together, because I got to
Bring out your head.
like, I got to go to Greenville tomorrow. So
Yeah,
Good.
if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it
That
now.
makes-
So now we're at the Countess. So the Palatine, also the Prime Minister, he didn't want to try the Countess. He was like, based on the testimony that we have heard, we can lock her up forever. But the king was like, absolutely fucking not. She has to fucking die. Now, in order to do that, there's going to be a
There
trial.
has to be a trial to kill him, but you can lock him up forever with no trial.
Apparently so. In 1610 in Hungary, yeah, it was just like,
Wow.
we've got enough. We're just going to lock her up. So her family was like, we don't want to do a trial. Please, it's embarrassing as fuck. Can you just lock her up for life? So, if the Countess is executed, all of her shit goes to the crown. So, all of her shit goes to the king. That is, if she owns any shit. But she was smart.
And gave it all to the kids.
Yeah. So, once the king found that shit out.
some people know how to follow along with the story.
Yeah, that's right. So, once the king found that shit out, he was like, well, fuck, I guess just lock her up. And the kids are like, well, we will write off the money you owe the family in exchange. So it was just all about getting her shit. But she didn't have any
But
shit.
well, that's what I mean. Like, what kind of shit does she have? Like, even the shit that she left to the it was all the castles. And
All the
stuff.
castles
Oh,
and
she
shit.
had a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. She
Okay,
was,
countries with
I'm
the
there
land.
now. I'm there now. I
Are you
remember.
serious?
I remember.
Also, she's so rich that she's loaning money to the king, so
I'm
he
back. That's
is.
right. I'm back now.
Yeah, yeah. So they all agreed, and they're like, she's going to be in prison for life at Castle Jete, which she owns. It says that she was kind of kept in the dungeon. Nobody actually knows if that's true. It might have been more like a house arrest situation where she was just in her fucking castle. But anyway, she actually died of natural causes on August 21st, 1614. So a few years later she died, which was common. She was already 50 when they arrested her, and people didn't live so long back then. So the burial. So she was initially buried at the church in Chete, but the residents complained about the Countess being buried on holy ground. Her remains were reportedly taken back to the family estate in 1617. In 1938, the crypt at Jete church was excavated, and the Countess's tomb was not there, which it shouldn't have been. But in 1995, the Bathory family crypts were open, and her remains were not there either. So nobody knows where she is at this point. Legends and conspiracies. So, did Esrb Bathory bathe in blood? Because that's the thing.
I was wondering why you had not done any of this yet. So,
All right.
please let's do this.
All right. Probably not. And the reason that they don't think that she did is because during all of the trial, nobody said shit about any kind of fascination with blood or gathering the blood and putting in a tub for her or any of that shit. It was more like there was a lot of blood. We had to clean up the fucking blood. Actually, it was in the 1720s the first time that was ever mentioned by anybody. And it came about, there was a Jesuit priest who was kind of just hanging out in the village collecting stories. He was collecting stories
I don't
for
trust
a book.
priests.
And then they started talking about,
Exactly.
the vampire Bathory who, bathed in blood. But that was never talked about,
What the fuck?
but that was over 100 years later at that point when it was first brought up.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that, no, that is not a real thing. The other thing, did she actually kill anybody? Because she always said no. She was like, the servants killed everybody. I was afraid. She said that it was always done by the servants and that she was just afraid to stop them. So, at that time, legally, it doesn't even matter. Because under the master-servant rule, the master is responsible for the actions of the servants. So, just like they owned them and could punish them and could do all of that, if they went and wreaked havoc and shit,
It was their fault.
that's your problem because they're your property. How many people did she kill? So, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, Elizabeth Bathory is the most prolific female murderer with a body count of over 600. There is no evidence of that whatsoever beyond the trial testimony of that one girl who said she saw that list that was not provided in court. So, a lot of people think that's bullshit, and they
Could she
believe.
even count the 600? Who the hell is that
And also,
bitch?
I don't
the
believe that
fuck?
she would have kept a list because I don't think she gave enough of a fuck to care about their names.
Random pass
You know,
out
like
number
I don't think there was
river
a murder
trash
list. I
number
think it was,
2.
she didn't make my eggs right.
It's not they're gonna have
Let's
ID
whip her
on them.
boobs and bleed her out, or whatever. I don't think that there was like.
Or she never killed anybody. Servants never killed anybody, and the king just wanted to get his debt taken care of.
Okay, so that is the conspiracy, right? And I have seen a lot of that. So the conspiracy is that none of this fucking shit happened at all. There were no murders. The Countess was targeted because she was a smart and powerful woman. She had a whole lot of shit. And the testimony that she did all of these things was completely a setup by the king and the prime minister to ruin her. I don't believe that nothing happened.
I refuse to. Y'all aren't going to ruin Elizabeth Bathory for me. I just hate it for you.
Yeah.
I'm on board with she was fucking nutso and bathed in the blood of bitches.
Is it just a coincidence that her name is Bathory?
Right!
Faz?
Yeah, I always thought that was the coolest thing
is that a
ever.
thing that maybe we took and No, we were saying Bath in 1700 or 1600, whenever.
Well, her
I feel
family
like.
was way. And remember, this is her
Oh, yeah,
family
it already
name
went
back.
before. Yeah, so what
yeah,
the hell?
wait. So Bathory is the powerful name. Her husband was Nadasti or something. And I read that sometimes when she was writing about shit, she hyphenated his name. Like,
I made him Nasty Bathory.
Yeah.
You a motherfucking hyphen.
But that is all
That's
I
not
got.
progressive.
That's not progressive.
Yes,
Yeah, I ain't gonna let y'all ruin that shit for me. She did it.
Eh,
Fucking
Yeah.
wild.
I'm on the fence.
You're on the fence.
I absolutely think there were murders. I do not think that there were 650 murders.
I wonder if the list that girl saw was just maybe a list of everybody who ever worked for her ever anywhere in all of the
Or
places.
did she even see a list? Was that like, the
Maybe she
prosecutor
was
saying, hey, you
How
were...
many days into torture was that list brought up? That's what I'd like to know.
It wasn't one of the people tortured. This
Oh, it
was
wasn't.
this was a surprise witness, like the Law and Order shit.
Oh,
this
yeah, I
was-
forgot the
This
dum
was
dum.
this
Shit.
was not one of the tortured people, and the tortured people said that they thought 30 to 50,
Band name called
but
it.
they
the
all
Torture
worked
People.
together at the same time. So
But if she had so many different places, there could have been other groups of 30 and 40,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, it's plausible she killed that many people, absolutely.
yeah. I still...
Or it's plausible the king wanted to not pay his debt.
No, I ain't getting
Fucking-
mail some weirdo setup shit.
Fucking-
That bitch was nuts, because that bitch was nuts.
No.
It's my turn. Yeah,
Fine.
oh, unless you want to go.
Oh, go ahead.
It's my turn.
Your turn.
For December, nothing says December like Santa Claus.
Santa.
So I decided to do John
Or Krampus.
Krampus. Really, I'm on board, and this is a little Krampusy. So in December of 1932, John McPhee, who was an editor for the Mesa Journal-Tribune in Mesa, Arizona, they were gonna have a Christmas parade. And he's like this young fucking editor, and he's like, they're in the middle of the fucking depression, ain't got no fucking money or whatever. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna amp up this fucking parade, we're gonna get all these people down here, they're gonna fucking shop at all these stores, we're gonna make all this money, it's gonna be fucking awesome. And they're like, well, cool guy, how are you gonna do that? And he's like, gonna hire an airplane. And I'm gonna hire a stunt man to dress as Santa Claus.
This sounds terrible.
And he's gonna jump out of this airplane.
And what year is this?
1932. Well, he's like, no, fuck it. He's like, that's what we're doing. We're gonna make it happen, right? So he printed a thing in the fucking paper, and he said that at 4:15 p.m., this airplane is gonna circle around the town. Town's about 2,500 people. So they're in the paper. It says at 4:15 p.m. y'all need to be watching because the plane's coming. Santa Claus, he's gonna jump out. He's gonna fucking land in the field. He's gonna hand out presents. So it's gonna be great. So everybody got super excited. All the people that own, like all the storekeepers or whatever, because again, it's Great Depression, and they're like, "Holy shit, it's gonna bring us a whole fuck ton of business. It's gonna be so cool." Calling this guy a hero. They're like, "Yeah, you saved Christmas. You saved our town." Blah blah blah. So he went. He got a pilot. Pilot's like, "Fuck yeah, I can do some loop-de-loops or whatever." Hired a stunt man whose name was never recorded for posterity, so that there would never be, oh, that wasn't Santa Claus. It was this guy. Like Santa Claus. Nobody ever knows this guy's name. So it's the day of the parade. Big day comes. And the fucking stuntman's still in here, right? So they're like, where the fuck is my stuntman? Where's my stuntman? They find him in a fucking bar. Shit-faced. Can't even stand up, right? So John, he's like, what the fuck am I going to do? He goes to a clothing store. And he's like, I need y'all to just give me a mannequin. Just give me a fucking mannequin. I'm going to put a suit on this fucking mannequin.
That's a good idea.
So they're like, okay, cool guy, you can have this mannequin. So he dresses this fucking mannequin. He gets with the pilot, and he's like, do everything we planned on doing. Except for, like, when the guy was supposed to jump out, we need you to take this dummy and throw it. And so the pilot is like, sure, because apparently physics didn't exist in 1932.
And they were giving this guy $13, so he's definitely
in his defense, John McPhee, he said from a distance, nobody would notice that the body was made out of plastic.
What's going to open the parachute?
Shh, I'm getting there. He said nobody would notice it was plastic, and they would just see it drifting gently to the ground. He also thought that parachutes were automatic. And he said, I will be in the field, and once the dummy lands, I'm going to run, and I'm going to grab the suit off the dummy. I'm going to dress up. I'm going to get the police escort into the parade, and nobody will know any different. And everybody is like, yeah, that's a really good idea.
Dummy from that's a scarecrow.
They're like, yeah, that's a really good idea. So people start gathering, right? I mean, there's fucking people everywhere, like towns and towns over.
There's gonna be an airplane.
Because they've never seen anybody jump out. Apparently, the year before, a town or two over had Santa Claus in an airplane, but the airplane didn't fly. It just rolled forward a little bit, and then he walked down the steps. Like it wasn't even in the air or anything, so we're out doing this shit.
Yeah, to make it look like he just landed or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that this turnout was the largest crowd in its history, unfortunately. So, right on schedule, here comes the plane. It's doing tricks and shit, you know, it's doing a little spinny shit or whatever. And right on cue, he throws the fucking dummy. And John is over here in the field. He's watching it, and he's like, yep. All right now. And the fucking parachute never fucking opens.
No shit.
So this dummy just starts like fucking flailing, like the arms are flailing. It's tumbling head over head, you know, head over feet. Kids start screaming. Parents are grabbing their kids and running because they think this is a real dude.
Oh my God!
So he's looking crazy as hell. He slams to his fucking death in the middle of a lettuce field where a bunch of migrant workers were working. And it scared them so bad that they took off running and had to climb over barbed wire fences to get away.
I'd be scared too if I was out there just working in the field
I
and
know,
a fucking
shit.
mannequin landed
So
on the
here's-
ground.
Explosion next to him. That's kind
Here's
of like a meteor
dipshit
hitting
John
the ground.
over here, and he's like, oh shit, we gotta fix this. So he runs over to the fucking dummy, puts the goddamn suit on anyway, right?
Still did it.
He
What?
still did it. He goes, you know, the police come and pick him up because that was the plan.
he-
It was going
he's
to be a police
dedicated to his
escort
plan.
into town.
It's gonna
So-
work. It's gonna work.
The police take him.
Santa's magic.
Well, hold on, because I'm going there
Oh,
too.
okay.
But so the police get him. They take him through town. It's fucking dead, right? Except for like people glaring at him out of shop windows and like kids crying out of them on their front porch. And he's like, man, I done fucked up. And he was like,
What had happened was.
I'm gonna leave for about a week and I'm gonna come back and it'll all be good, right? It's like it'll all be good.
What?
Just forget about. Yeah, he just left town. He just like,
For one whole week, they'll never remember me.
so he came back, and upon his return, the newspaper ran an article trying to explain it and also keep the story of the magic of Santa. So they were like, Faith explains all things, and you know all this shit about how he was fine, and you know he's sorry that you missed him and all this shit. Nope. Now he's known as the man who killed Santa. He terrorized an entire generation of children. But it became tradition, and the paper ran that story every year for the next 70 years.
That's fucking weird.
That's the most amazing
When
thing I've ever heard.
What
hold on.
the hell?
When he died, they ran the headline, John McPhee, the man who killed Santa Claus, died today. And that's all it said. But, fun fact, those children were so fucked up and terrified, and their Christmas was ruined so bad that the parents bought them extra presents that year. So
it
in a
still
way,
worked,
he
yeah.
saved Christmas.
He did, yeah. But he had to pay for it every year until the day he
Till
died.
the day he died. Oh, man. And, well, even after, because I'm talking about it now. So, that is the story of John McPhee, the man who killed Santa Claus.
Is it John McPhee or John McAfee?
No, it's
Are they related?
McPhee.
Ah, shit.
That's the most like epic fail.
Oh, yeah.
Have any of y'all ever heard this before?
No.
Because I have not.
No.
But it really was not a fail because the end goal
He
was
saved
to
Christmas. He helped the shopkeepers.
yeah, and
Fair
that
enough.
and that was the goal all along is to get people out spending more money, and that happened.
That's
so
true.
Yeah.
Winter chicken dinner.
he might have had a couple bumps along the way of his journey, but he fucking got it in the end.
And he tried. He never gave up.
Definitely psychiatrists would have made a bunch of money after that.
And he threw a fucking mannequin at some migrant workers out of an
I
airplane.
know, that shit is wild as fuck. But, I mean, that's all I've got. That's the happiest December shit I can find.
I'm I'm so glad I don't have to follow that. What do y'all
Who's
do?
next?
Mine is not that good. But fuck it. I'll go.
Go.
I'll go last.
Matthew.
Okay. I'll go.
More shots.
I didn't think
Still
mine
missed
was related to December, but it's got a couple things. This is one you and Kara probably won't have a whole lot of input on or know a lot about, but Ryan will.
Says nerd shit.
You would
It's
be Kelly.
Nerd shit.
It's nerd shit.
Nerd.
It's nerd
I'm
shit.
gonna throw in a clip of that just to see what happens.
So my topic is somewhat video game related, somewhat psychology related. Do any of the girls know what ESRB is?
Hell no.
It's the. Ain't it a video game company?
The entertainment, something ratings board. The
Entertainment
They're the
Software
ones-
Ratings Board.
They're like the MPAA, but for video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
I knew that.
I did not know that. But now I do. Thank you, Matthew.
So, there.
Preemptive censorship. Preemptive.
This is
censorship.
going to jump over a few decades. In the 60s, there was a psychologist. His name was Albert Bandura. And between 61 and 63, he conducted a series of experiments called the Bobo doll experiment. And a Bobo doll is like the... now we see them as inflatables, but they're the ones with the big bottom where you knock it over and it stands back up.
Oh, the punching bag.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what a Bobo doll is. So in his experiments, he got a bunch of kids from the Stanford nursery. Yeah, so he would expose them to. He had a control group, a violent group, and an easy group where everything was just sunshine and rainbows and kid shit. So he exposed these kids to these different things and then put them in a room with the Bobo doll to see how they reacted. Did the kids that were exposed to violence, like seeing other people be violent and stuff like that, did they react with violence towards this Bobo doll? Did they go in there and beat the shit out of this little dummy? He did this experiment, and he exposed some kids to violent scenarios, you know, and he would have, like, adults come in and beat on the Bobo doll and shit like that. And in some of the experiments, he would reward the adults, or he would punish the adults to see how that affected the kids.
See if they associate stuff with other. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
See if violence is a learned nature kind of thing. To where, are you just born a violent person, or does something trigger it in your life? You know, like if you see somebody being violent and getting rewarded for it, obviously you want that reward, so you're more likely to be violent. So these experiments lasted from 61 to 63, and how that ties into December is Albert Bandura, the psychologist, was born on December 4th, 1925.
Nice.
So, now we're going to jump ahead a few decades to the 90s, and there was a congressional hearing on December 7th, 1993. I think, yeah, December 7th, 1993. So there's the second December reference. And this is where a bunch of senators and shit got together with video game companies, you know, Sega, Nintendo, all them, and they were saying video games are too violent and we're worried about the kids.
Video games too. Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. So pretty much all the senators told these companies, you do something about it and we're going to do something about it. And one of the things they referenced during this congressional hearing was the Bobo doll experiment. They're saying, look, this guy has proven that kids that are shown violence become more violent. So a couple of things that brought on this congressional hearing were the release of the video game Night Trap, Mortal Kombat, which is the one everybody knows about.
Which one though? Is this?
The
Would this
first
be the
Mortal Kombat,
original,
yeah.
the very first
Not
Mortal
yet,
Kombat?
the very
full
first one.
motion video with killing and stuff.
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
know what
Sega
that is.
CD.
I was just wondering
Yeah.
what.
But that was one of the first ones that full motion video and you could watch.
Yeah. And you got to pick, like, different scenes and stuff. And
You
it
have to
showed,
pick your
like,
own book.
It showed like a bunch of sexual reference and
That
murder
reminds
and
me
type
of-
shit.
Phantasmagoria.
So these hearings came about after Night Trap and Mortal Kombat was released. Everybody, or most people that I know at least, know that Mortal Kombat brought this about. You know, it was super violent and everybody was pissed off about that.
But it's
I
called
was in
Mortal
arcade.
Kombat.
But
They didn't care, yeah.
but also Doom came out right after, and they had another congressional hearing the following year. People were a little bit worried about increased gun violence at the time, and the state of the industry, like the video game industry, because it was kind of tanking at that point. And there was a huge rivalry between Sega and Nintendo, and that was kind of throwing the market in all kind of wild ways, getting people worried, you know. And then you got all this gun violence, and people just immediately were like, oh yeah, save the kids, no violent video games. So because of this, the video game industry as a collective whole got together and created the ESRB.
Self-censorship before they can censor you.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the
Because
film industry did.
that's what the senators told them, you do something or we'll do something.
Yeah.
And they were afraid that what the government was going to do would be worse than what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So they came up with the Interactive Digital Software Association, and that association then created the ESRB, which is Entertainment Software Ratings Board. And those people are kind of like a self-governed board that rates video games, you know, from children to teen to adult and shit like that. Throughout the years, I've never really personally seen a lot of games that were rated adult, but there were quite a few, and those games often got banned in a lot of places.
There was one that I talked about buying all the time. We used to see it all the time at fucking GameStop, and it was for PlayStation 2, and it was like a role-playing, like one of those role-playing games. But it was anime,
Oh,
and you could fuck people.
I was gonna say Leisure Suit Larry.
No,
this
I know what
this is
that
more
is.
like
Oh, that's
this
some
was
good-
more like Romance
Is
of
that
the Three
like-
Kingdoms with
This was
fucking.
one that I had never heard of. Like,
Or-
I never read anything about it or anything. And we saw it on, it was on like one of the walls, like used shit or $5.99 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see it all the fucking time.
Or Fantasy Star.
And it was
Fucking.
rated, it was either adult or MA, whatever the hell they do to make you, so you know that
Or
it's
Final
fucking
Fantasy.
gross up in there.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But I know that, like, part of what you did was your whole job, like, you were a dude and you were trying to fuck bitches.
You're like
That's
the,
all I
you're,
remember.
you're the bard of the group trying to fuck your way through everything.
I don't remember,
right? It's
but
the
I
same
remember
thing,
every
yeah.
time we went in there, I would pick it up and I would look
We
at it,
almost
and then I'd
bought
be
it
like, man, I'll be a weirdo if I
15
buy
times.
this. I'm not, and so I
We
put it
should
down.
just bought it.
Every
I
fucking
get
time I
them
went in
anyway.
there, I picked it up. I don't remember the name of it now.
I can look up every
One-
game that was made for a system. We'll find it.
One game that I always heard about when I was younger was BMX XXX.
I don't
And
know about that one.
You don't know that?
Is it like,
It was. It was.
Say we bike riding?
I was about to say,
No,
doing it
no,
on
throw out there. I
bicycles.
always remember the hot coffee mod from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where there was a game where you could have sex in it, and they took it out, but you could.
I
the code
know.
was still
I know
there.
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There- you actually move the controllers around to fuck a bitch as CJ in San Andreas. You didn't play
Yeah.
that game?
I played San Andreas many
It didn't have-
times. I
Is
bought
that the one
chicken
that
at
had
the
the 80s
drive-thru.
music where you could have...
No,
That's Vice City. That
Okay,
was
that's
my
right.
favorite.
This is the
That's my
one
favorite.
with the
San Andreas.
chicken and the
It was the next
spray
one.
painting.
It
San-
was,
San-
it was like early '90s
Yeah.
California gangbangers.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So BMX XXX came out in the time of action sports games.
What systems?
Dave Mirra BMX.
PlayStation 2?
Yeah, PS2.
Okay.
This one.
BMX XXX didn't really have
Super
a,
Nintendo, so much
like
better.
it didn't have like a lot of nudity or anything like that, but it was just like dirty. Like the language was really filthy, and
And the PlayStation 2 was highly available. That was like one of the
Yeah.
best, that was the best selling system of all time at that point.
so think Dave Mirra freestyle BMX, but where everybody like all the NPCs are just like yelling out cuss words and shit.
Yeah, that's on
When I was younger, I had always heard about how that specific game had been pulled from all the stores and shit like that. And I happened to be in a fucking store one day, and I saw a copy of it, and I'm like, well, this is happening.
I'm buying this shit
And
right
it-
now.
Like, I'm a man, and a very immature one at that, so I'm amused by all the silly adult
Do you
humor.
remember Conker's Bad Fur Day on Nintendo
Yes.
64? I loved that one. Holy shit.
So BMX XXX appealed to me because I thought like all these funny ass little stupid dick jokes is just, it's good for a quick laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the ESRB is still a thing, and if you go to the store to buy physical games, they all do have a rating on them.
Yeah.
But now with like buying games digitally,
How do they do it?
It would be so much easier for kids to get their hands on shit.
Oh, yeah.
Or is there a thing
You on Steam and buy
that
any
makes
PC
it if
game with
it's
ratings
that
and shit.
You can
high
buy
rating you
Credit card to
can't
buy shit,
download
you
it
can
or
do
something?
anything, Yeah.
on Steam. It makes
Anywhere.
you type in your fucking birthday.
Oh, like the
But you-
cigarette and the alcohol
Yeah.
side thing? Yeah.
Yeah. When were you born?
1964.
Good-
Just like whenever.
Good enough for me.
Scroll, 80, 78, whatever.
Or like when you ever go to like an alcohol website or something.
Yep. That, you always
Are
have
you
to put it in.
21?
Yeah.
I just click it and then
Yes.
slam, scroll wheel, and just click it wherever it stops, whatever.
I mean,
went
You were born in
to-
1927.
I mean,
Sure.
obviously, I came to this website. I'm not going to click no.
Right.
I went to somewhere, and it's been recently. It might have been like an alcohol that you had told me about, or a beer that you told me about, or something. Anyway, I went to their website, and you have to do that. You have to put in your birthday, and then I
Read
did.
about it, yeah.
And then it came up again and asked me if I was sure. I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
Yeah,
What
man,
it-
I
what it-
After they're drunk and underage and forgot how old they are.
As the youngest person in this room, I feel like I'm allowed to make this joke.
Go ahead.
Maybe they think you're so old that you don't remember your own fucking birthday. One other thing about my topic, which makes it kind of controversial, is they reference this Bobo experiment where this guy did the experiment with the kids, and that was like their fucking home run. Like, look, here we go. We got actual experiments done by a psychologist. Here you go. And a lot of people disagree with those experiments because the control groups, he was getting all the kids from the nursery of Stanford, which are all little white kids that are from wealthy families and stuff like that, you know. So they're like, well, those people are predisposed to act differently already. Because rich people act differently than poor people. And so a lot of people said that because the experiment was flawed based on the subject matter, then the results were also flawed. And thus the ESRB should not be a thing based on that evidence. Because if you created a whole rating board based on an experiment and then you found out the experiment was flawed, well, it kind of throws away everything after that.
Well, but as of right now, they still use the ESRB,
Yeah.
right?
They still do. Ryan's topic.
And
Yes.
Oh,
Ryan?
it's my turn.
Dum,
Yes.
dum, dum.
All right. I definitely did
It needed to be
Prohibition,
done.
but I had to find like a conspiracy angle, so I have not just Prohibition, but a little side angle about, the government trying to fuck us over as they always do. Not only are we gonna not let you drink alcohol, we're gonna kill you if you try to. So yeah, fuck them. Alright, so 1920 is when, let me make sure I got the right number so I don't sound dumb. The 18th Amendment was passed. That banned alcohol completely, a constitutional ban. That led to what's called the Valstead Act, which is what laid out the actual what's illegal. You can't make alcohol, you can't transport it. And that's my favorite. The reason alcohol became illegal to transport is why NASCAR was invented. Let's make our cars faster than the cops because we have a bunch of alcohol. It's illegal. And they were like, all right, we'll make the cars faster for the cops. And the people that made alcohol said, we're going to be fucking faster. And kept doing it till they started racing each other and made a whole league out of it. That's my fucking favorite. Now, you could still have alcohol privately if you already had it.
Hold on, I have a question already.
Religiously, you could use alcohol. So if you went to church and had Sunday
Wine.
communion, yeah, you could have wine in your body of bread Christ.
You said
So,
it's 1920 to 1933.
Yeah,
Is that
that's-
because when they passed Prohibition, it was going to last from 20 to 33?
They
Or
know they
because
passed
we
it.
went nuts in 33 and ended it on our own.
No, right after World War I and leading up to 1920, after World War I started and leading up to 1920, there was a group of women, and they had a bunch of things that they deemed societally bad, just like the ESRB and the music
So a
people.
bunch of fucking
This
Karens
shit's bad.
was like,
Yeah,
y'all
exactly,
can't
yeah.
It wasn't.
They were like, this
set
shit's
to
bad.
Expire,
and
but
they were
that's
like,
what you were asking.
alcohol makes
That's what I
you.
was asking. Was it set to expire, or did we
No, no.
end that shit because we ended that
No,
shit?
no. That's what happened in
We ended.
early 1910s. They were talking about shit, and they kept picking it and doing this and that. A few states and a few towns already had shit where you couldn't buy it there, and you just go to the next town over, whatever. But then eventually, they started this big shit everywhere, and in 1920, 18th Amendment passed, and it passed with a 68% supermajority in the House of Representatives, which is a fucking lot, and 76% in the Senate. Almost 70% of everybody said, no alcohol, but everybody that, existed that drank alcohol was like, no, we still want it. But everybody that said you can't have it could still get it because you could go to the doctor and they give you a special pass.
Oh, yeah,
It's
and
a bunch of bullshit, like, right.
So
or if you already
about
owned it and you're
what
rich
about
and had a
the
bunch of
guy
wine.
with the truck that drove up and he had the bottle of shit that got rid of your asthma and your hip pain and stuff? Was he still
That's
banned?
a
or?
snake oil.
That's
salesman?
more like 1800s.
Yeah, but
that's
those were
like,
all-
like
That's
1800s.
medicine. And medicine
So
wasn't
medicine
regulated.
didn't count? Okay.
Medicine
Yeah.
wasn't regulated then.
There
So-
wasn't even an FDA yet. Was there in
No.
1920?
Well, no, but I mean, if it's
Yeah.
banned, like,
That's what I'm saying. They
if you're
were.
selling something that's got alcohol in it, is that also banned?
They weren't checking at that degree. It was
Uh-uh.
like they were checking for like moonshine and shit. It's like, are you selling shit? So
But yeah, they passed it in
Get drunk.
1920, but not until a certain time. They just passed it in 1920, and they said no. And then just years and years went by. It's early 20s, 24, 25. Everybody's still making it themselves. What they do is they would steal the industrial alcohol. They made perfumes. They paint thinner and a bunch of weird shit like that. So people would steal that, like, shit they made other shit out of and make cheap liquor out of it. Well, they were like, hey, won't you poison it if we give you a tax break? And so a bunch of companies did it, almost all of them. So in early 1926, right around Christmas time, right around now, it's like this week of the year, basically, in 1926, Calvin Coolidge was the president. And he was like, just put some out there, they'll figure it out after somebody dies. And somewhere almost 100 people died that first week they did it. Nobody stopped drinking. They were just like, that's a thing now.
Yeah, I'll take my chance.
Yeah. All right. So they're still in the industrial alcohol to make this cheap-ass liquor, and everybody's getting poisoned. It's late 20s. They're still letting it happen. Nobody does shit about it. And just nobody knows exactly how many died. Some of the lower estimates are maybe 1,000 or so people died from, say, 24 to 25 to 33 when it was repealed. And what happened in 33, everybody was just like, okay, that's
We're fucking over it.
That's it. Fucking enough of this. World War I's over.
Fucking over it.
We still can't have alcohol. Then Black Friday happened, and nobody's worth anything. Nobody has any money. It's Great Depression. Still no alcohol. Okay, well, it's fucking time for alcohol, and they repealed it, and everybody was just like, woo, and everybody did it all at the same time. There
It
was
was
no
pretty much they
question.
were
Well,
fucking over.
Yeah, they
Also-
passed the fucking 21st Amendment, and it was just done. Also, December 5th, 1933, they were over with it almost the exact same time. 13 years later, they said, we're fucking done with it.
Also, like, with the ban of alcohol, it led to a really high rise in crime, like mobsters and shit. And that became an
use that
issue.
as a money crutch like that. What are they going to make
Yeah.
money off of now?
Yeah, well, it became an issue with, like, police forces not having enough money to pay manpower to fucking fight this shit.
Yep.
So it was just bad for the government all the way around.
Yeah.
How'd you think you would get away with that after the people have been drinking for like thousands upon
Yeah.
thousands upon thousands of
The,
years?
the cool thing
Never
we
gonna
got from
happen.
it, though, speakeasies.
Man,
Yes, that's the coolest thing
I
ever.
would give
That's
anything
crazy.
to, like, I don't
There's
want to
cities-
live
You
in
know,
that
No, I
time
wanna
because
live-
everybody was gross and they all
But
stunk.
there's
It
cities
was
with whole
disgusting.
underground cities.
But
Yeah.
I want
That's cool
to
as shit.
time travel for like a weekend
Yes.
to a 1925.
To be like a
Oh.
guest of the
Easy.
mob.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Right.
3 days just hanging out with
Escorted
Capone.
around.
Oh my god! I
Yes.
want a cigarette girl to come up. I want to stick
Yes.
I
a
hate
$2 bill in a cigarette girl's fucking little change purse.
You just want to meet Bonnie and Clyde and go on your way.
Yeah,
Not
like I
hang
don't
out.
want to be
Yeah.
in it.
Exactly, yeah.
I just want
I
to
get
like
that.
see it.
I hate hipsters with a passion, but one thing I do love about hipsters is they're bringing back speakeasies.
Where?
And why would, I mean, why?
Wow.
Because it's
No, it's not the same.
Hipsters
No,
should not be invited to the speakeasy.
No, hold on. I saw a video of one, and it looked like a regular ass laundromat, and they had like actual working fucking washers and dryers in there. But they had one of them. You went up and you put your quarters in, and it opened up, and it went down a fucking staircase to a hidden bar.
Oh, that's cool.
How cool
So
is
we
that?
would never be allowed in that because we're not hipster enough.
We are not the in crowd.
I don't know. One of y'all could grow a man bun right quick, and then like me and you already
Not
have weird
you.
hair,
And
so that makes us.
There's one
Not
Can I grow a
right?
bun man?
because I watched the whole. I watched a whole video where they were just going around finding like modern speakeasies. There was one where it was like an old fucking phone booth, like the whole booth you walked in, and you walked in there and you had to dial a specific number, and if you got it right, they would tell you a fucking password, and you can go into the building behind it, and they would.
867-5309.
Yeah, that's probably
You would get
it.
kicked out for being old as fuck.
That's right. Yeah.
Whatever.
But-
I mean,
But how cool is that?
probably.
Because like it's an actual working phone that this company just like they pay the phone bill or whatever, and you go in there, and if you dial the correct number, it doesn't actually ring anywhere. It's just the people in the fucking bar that's completely hidden.
Right.
You said meth? What?
Methanol.
No.
Oh.
Meth and all.
No,
Methanol.
No, ethanol.
That should be the name of this shit. Methanol.
I could do that.
Yeah.
We could just change it to methanol.
No,
Methanol.
no, the name of the episode is Methu.
That's-
METHEW, that's the only thing we even need.
I don't
One-
want to do that much work.
One of the
Just give me alcohol.
one of the rooms is like a detective agency or whatever.
So it's like an escape room, but like to get to better bars. That's pretty cool. I'd do the fuck
Yeah.
out of that.
We've done some
Well, I
awesome
think
escape
as long
rooms,
as
too.
I can get to
love
a bar
escape
at the
rooms.
lowest level.
But hold
if
on,
I-
so
if I
I
suck
feel
at it,
like
I still
like
will
we
agree.
have different versions of what a speakeasy is. I know that they were all secret, but
It's a hidden bar.
it's
at a
just
place.
one hidden bar. Like you just
Normally.
find it and you tap and they go, "What's the password?" And you go
This
whatever,
place,
and then you
you
get
go
in
in-
and you're just fucking in.
This place you
and
go in, there's multiple different
I want the
places to go to.
cigarette girls, but I only want to have to know one password. I don't want it to be.
No,
like
this one you know
spaghetti
one
day or
password, but you
something.
can go to any different type of room that tickles your fancy or whatever.
I've never had anything tickle my fancy.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, son.
Here's a place in
Tickle your
Wyoming.
fancy as a soulmate.
Dude, I made like a super gross scrambled eggs joke earlier.
But
Holy shit, that was a great joke. That was fucking awesome.
Oh, if it's super
Oh my
gross,
God.
we're riotous for time. I don't need to
It was
hear
fucking
I don't need to
wow.
hear it. I don't need to
It
hear
took
it.
me like 8 seconds to get it, and then I went, oh fuck.
It might be so gross that I'm not going to get it, but I don't want to know.
It
I'm
was
at the
terrible.
living room For a
I'm
second, it was bad. It was
I don't
great.
need to know.
It was my
He's
favorite.
not even. I don't need to know.
I'll just say Waffle House.
Nobody needs to know.
I just saw of another one, and it's in a clothing store, and you go
Like
in.
you walk into Macy's and
And
then
it's slacks.
No, it's a clothing store, and they have one rack in the back, like against the wall, and you like go through
what,
the
the
clothing,
secret cupboard?
and it's a
The
fucking.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wanderer.
It opens up
Remember
into a
this
fucking bar.
Fuck yes.
So good at the movie
Everybody,
game where you
everybody
get
wants a
years.
new romance.
Everybody wants some.
Wants a new romance.
Everybody's
Oh,
up
this is
for
about
a romance. That
whores.
was pretty close.
Whores.
I think that's about it. We're about 2 hours in.
Oh,
Oh,
shit,
perfect.
are we?
Yeah. This is
Okay,
gold, Jared.
so
This is
we're
gold.
done because we're drunk.
Yep.
Thank y'all. It's promo time, and this week we've got a promo from Fuck My Work Life, and I can
I wish I
totally.
could have said it with you.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Love you. That was great.
Here's
Perfect.
Fuck My Work Life. We love them.
Hi, I'm Kay.
And I'm Jay, and we give you the Fuck My Work Life podcast.
The weekly podcast where we read your workplace stories to you. Hilarious mishaps,
I lost my balance and grabbed the only thing I could to steady myself. I grabbed a teetering stack of about 8 sheets of drywall. I hit all of my knees and elbows on the way down. all of them.
workplace shenanigans.
Carl and Ted had super glued all Bob's pencils and pens to his desk.
Full disclosure, I smoked a lot of weed at that time.
Awkward encounters.
As he's wandering around the party girl section
Exactly.
of a clothing store.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at FMWL Pod. That's FMWL Pod.
Email your stories to fmwlpod@gmail.com. That's fmwlpod@gmail.com.
We love Fuck My Work Life. Love you, J and K.
Yes, J and K, y'all are
Chat
our
smashes also.
BFFs. We also love Chat Smash. I feel like we shouted out a lot of people in this episode that I didn't write down and we should have. But
Yeah, it'll be all right.
if they listen, they'll hear it. So you can tag yourselves.
That's right.
Because we're
Also-
lazy.
Play along with my 30 days of bullshit.
30 days of bullshit with Drunk Theory. Kelly's got a whole thing going on.
I'm doing a thing.
It's fun. I don't know. Nobody jumped up and down or whatever. So maybe.
I know, right?
Maybe don't ask for videos.
No
Personal
more
videos.
No
of
more
people.
physical challenges. I guess I need to know my audience.
Yeah.
If you're on Xbox Live, I'm Abby of Thelema 3. Like to play the new Forza. Enjoy.
You're who?
Yeah, what is that? What is that? Whenever
Abby of
What is
Thelema.
that?
Just don't.
that's your gamer tag for Xbox.
I thought you
a
were
lot
just
of
always
reading.
the
You can read.
silence or whatever on there.
It wasn't available on Xbox Live, so I did Abby of
I bet
Somebody
it
else
wasn't
is
available
the-
because you're already on
Somebody
there.
else is the silence.
I bet it's
I am,
already
but
him.
I am, but I couldn't remember the password. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be the silence a number because I don't do that. I'm always the original.
69.
No,
I don't know my gamer tag. So.
He said he saw you though, like it, but
no,
not
we're
you.
friends
It was
on
like a.
Forza 5 now.
But he
yeah.
said like when y'all aren't like it, you weren't really playing, you were playing, but then
Your
it was like
Drivatar
Ghost
was there.
you.
Yeah, I was doing a race and I rewound and I was like,
Do you
oh,
see
shit.
Ghost Ryan
How did it
sometimes when
rewind?
you play?
I haven't played but like 5 minutes since I added him.
Usually, if you go online and they're online, you can race with them. If you're not racing with them, there's a fake driver of them driving around doing shit. So you can play with them or a fake version of them as long as you're online with like a set number.
Whenever
like 50 or 60
I
per
saw that
pass.
he added me the other day, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? I don't know his gamer tag. Because
my name, so he knows who I am. I thought he would know.
Well, I just saw the gamer tag at first.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I put my name in there, but I didn't know if I.
And then I was like, oh yeah, after I did some further reading.
It was just in case, and I don't know, because there's a lot of shit you need a friend with to do some races, and if you want, you just let me know.
Figured it
Because it's
out.
hard to get races, like friends that drive with some shit if you need
Yeah.
achievement, and I want all the fucking cars.
All right, well,
I have a sweet CRX.
this has been our
1991 red
I want
CRX.
to discover all the roads. I've been doing that.
episode on
I'm like
DC.
111. I'm pretty far.
Thank
We've had
y'all.
fun.
Oh, shit.
What?
We got to talk about how we are on top of Goop.
All right.
Wait, for whatever
Maybe
reason.
that's not the appropriate way to say that.
I'm on
Go
top.
on,
I'm on
go
top
on.
of Goop. I'm on top of Goop.
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow is a dumb fucking bitch, and we beat her ass today on the indie podcast charts. Now, argue with me all you want to. I also agree that she should not be considered indie, but some people say she is, and if she is, we're better than her. So
I will just say this. This podcast, even if you count everything we bought for tonight, costs like $73 with all the alcohol.
oh, lies.
That was $40.
I spent $48 at the liquor store.
So yeah, we spent like $120 in alcohol. We didn't drink it all, but we
Today,
did a few
though,
different
right?
times. Yeah, I'm just on this
Today?
one episode. She
Oh.
spends all that money on hers.
Okay.
We spent maybe
I thought you were saying forever.
at the most, we'll say $200 in gas and time and everything on this episode, whereas Gwyneth Paltrow's probably spent $5,000 on hers at least, I'm sure. Probably had a bunch of ring lights and a bunch of bullshit. We don't have any of that. We have 4 mismatched microphones and 4 mismatched people.
So we'll be at Days of the Dead, Atlanta, February this year.
February 25th through the 27th.
Yes,
Friday, Saturday,
we got
and
2
Sunday.
tables this time, and y'all know we said that
That
we
seems
would.
excessive.
Well, we said we were going to record and shit last time, but remember there was no room to put our
Right.
shit and record.
Right.
So now we have 2 tables, so we can record this time, and we promise to remember what day it is and to find out the schedule
They will not do
and
that.
figure out.
I'll try.
We promise to try.
We
Well, if it's anything like last time where we all just stayed like absolutely fucking wasted.
Shit faced for 3 days.
Well, I say we still do that.
We're still gonna do that,
But
Yeah,
We're gonna do it.
Well, fuck it. We'll do it live. We'll fucking
We'll
do
do
it
it.
If we do it
live.
live, if you show up and you're already at Days of the Dead, you come on over to our
Come
table.
on over. We
I
got
will
some
have
shit. We'll
some
have some
very
drink.
good,
Autopsy.
very good, at least
VHS
70-year-old bourbon for you. It'll be good.
They hate that. It's podcast.
Podcast.
Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Kelly done fuck y'all shit
don't-
up.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
It'll be sweet.
I'm excited to go, but after last time, my liver hurt.
Well, I mean, you don't have to sit there the whole time, and like, which I don't think
It
we
wasn't
didn't.
the sitting there.
No, it's sitting there drinking.
Sitting
Like, if
there
you want to get if you want to take a whole day and pretend like I'm not here with drunk theory, I'm here walking around. Do that. Somebody will stay at the table, or we'll
But
cover
we can't
that
just
shit
leave
up.
one bluthering drunk idiot at the table.
Then
that's
we'll
so drunk
cover
they
it
can't
up, and
exist.
we'll all go around
Like,
and do shit.
That
you
didn't
know what I
work
mean?
last
Like,
time, yeah.
You can't just have one person there going.
We'll figure it out. We might need a
Like,
stand-in, so we're taking applications
Yeah.
for that.
Do we need to pay somebody to sit at the table?
We'll
like
pay you.
$20 an hour.
Does
or
someone
some
want
shit?
to intern for Drunk
Yeah.
Theory? We need an intern immediately.
All
You
right.
get college credits.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I guess
we do-
I don't
we do
know.
that
Is that a
in
thing?
college.
We could probably give them radio credits or something if we got. Is that a thing we could do? Do I need to call Furman like in
I
the
have
morning?
$2 I will give you if you will
Hold
be
on,
our
hold on.
intern.
I'm gonna dig deeper into this and
Alright.
figure out if we can offer college credit.
Okay.
The intern
We need
fiasco
an
is coming up.
How about this? If anybody volunteers to help, we'll just buy you a bottle of booze at the liquor store across
Oh
the
yeah,
street.
across the street, or if it's
Well,
not
but I
across
feel like
the
we
street.
would get better people if we offered them college credit, right?
What?
Well,
What?
we can't
Hold
actually do
on,
that,
hold
so,
on.
you know,
But maybe we can. I said I was gonna
Well,
dig deeper.
Well, my idea won't
the
work
con
anyways.
gets volunteers by saying you get free into the con. Why don't we ask for volunteers by saying we'll pay your way into the fucking
That's a
con?
good idea.
That's true, because remember,
Yeah.
y'all don't have to buy tickets because we've got 2 tables. That's 4 tickets, so we're all good.
My idea wouldn't work anyways because after I said it, I thought we're trying to find somebody to not be drunk at the table, and if we buy you booze,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
We could just
Yeah.
find anybody and just con them into sitting there if
So
they're
it's
drunk
like,
enough.
you know, if you'll cover us for a few hours every day, we got your tickets or whatever.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll figure it out, but
We'll be
figure it
there
out.
and we'll be square, most definitely.
He will, I promise you that. So
Fucking nerd.
Matt will also be taking care of us, I'm sure.
no, I'll be. Me and Kelly will take care of ourselves and we'll get kicked off all the social medias again. But
Yeah.
we
No,
love y'all.
we don't do such a good job.
We love
You're a big
Matthew.
fan.
Happy birthday again.
Fan.
Happy
Um,
birthday, my love.
Happy birthday, Matthew.
And I guess that's it.
Love
That's it.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, sure.
They get